Welcome to Recouped the podcast, where we uncover the depths of sustainability and its impact on the world.
We're your hosts, Vicky
and Michelle.
And together we'll explore what it means to live more sustainably. Dude, have you heard of a menstrual disc?
Mm-hmm. I
have. You have?
Mm-hmm.
I just learned about it. What do you know about it?
That they're like these silicone cups. They have a string on them. Right?
They do?
Yeah, they have a little tab so you can get them in and out, right?
I think that's the cup.
Oh,
I think the disc is like literally a circular, like a hair tie, but probably bigger. And then it has like a silicone or a latex, imagine like a bubble.
Yeah.
Like a bubble in between it. And then it catches the monthly cycle. And then you discard.
So you have to throw the cup away?
Disc.
The kit disc?
I believe my understanding of it, I'm just fascinated.
Is it almost like a condom?
Kind of. What I read about the disc was, it said there's silicone or plastic. You can use it for long duration, but I believe it is.
I have heard though.
But I believe it is disposable.
So it's probably not. I don't know. If it's not.
The one that I looked up was disposable. Shit.
Well,
we'll look it up and we'll share it with everybody.
Because if it's not disposable, it would probably be, I mean, if you're just using one for your entire menstruation week, it might be a good alternative to whatever you use normally.
Yeah.
But.
Well, that's an intro to today.
We can talk about periods. Do you have any bad period stories from when you were a kid?
Yeah.
So do I. I think I've told you before.
I think I told you before too. I'll tell you mine. When I was young, I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was a professional. And I went to some races during the summertime, like a car race, bumper car, adult bumper cars where like they crash into each other with my friend. And my little dinky teenage butt thought, I'm going to wear white pants. Yeah,
mine is a white pants story too.
To the races with my friend and her dad. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like there was a mom, And then I remember I went to the bathroom and I was like, holy smokes. Mm-hmm. This was the worst idea of my life. And I was so happy that I had a sweatshirt to cover my butt. And of course, I was a little nervous, maybe embarrassed, maybe a little bit ashamed to bring it up to the adult that was with us, that I might have needed more assistance. But
So what happened? Did the dad help you?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, did you just tie something around your waist?
I tied something around my waist.
That's
and
what
then
I did.
Waited until I got home, and then I took care of business.
So mine, I was probably 13 or 14, and I was like pretty mature looking for my age, despite the fact that I had like braces and like pimply faced and stuff. But I was tall and like, looked like a young woman.
Yeah.
And my mom took me out. We were going to Nordstrom because I was going to go to the MAC counter, the makeup, and get my makeup done. I was like feeling really cool. I had my new Abercrombie & Fitch white pants, and like I thought I was just so cool. My hair was freshly done. Got my makeup done, and I was sitting in the chair forever. And then I looked like a clown probably because it was just so much makeup, but it was so exciting for me. And we're walking through the mall because my mom was like, let's go get lunch now. And I sat there for like over an hour getting my makeup done, not even realizing that I had started my period. Like,
wait, was this the first time ever, or I
think so. I think so.
Oh, yeah. No.
Because I was probably 13.
Oh, no.
It was either the first or it was like I just wasn't prepared yet.
Yeah.
Yes. Didn't know what was happening. But I was sitting there for a long time. And we're like walking through the mall to go to Red Robin. I remember it perfectly. Just walking and like everybody's checking me out. I must look so good. Like feeling really good about myself. Like strutting my stuff. Like just like my mom's just like so nice. Like walking next to me. Just like letting me have my time. Like thinking I was like, well, we go to Red Robin. And it's like busy Saturday morning. And we get in there and walk up to check ourselves in, and we go stand, and still people are looking at me, and I'm like, oh, I must just look so good.
You're such a beauty.
And this lady comes up, she's like, oh, honey, like, I think you had an accident. She's like, you're bleeding through your pants. And I'm like, and immediately just
oh no,
almost passed out from embarrassment.
Oh,
So I run to the
no.
bathroom. My mom like gives me her sweater and I tie it around my waist and I like, of course, just pretend like nothing happened. I like, so all these things, because we go back in, our table is ready, we go sit down and I'm just like, I want to go home and wash my face off and get everything out. Like, I was just like so mad. But I remember like now like Red Robin, whenever I go in there, I'm like, I don't like this place.
It's like a trauma.
Like the French onion soup from Red Robin is a horrible
Never
memory.
again.
Yeah, horrible memory. White pants are a horrible thing to buy when you're going through puberty as a young girl.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, of all the like, of course it happens like that, like those types of situations.
Yeah. I think everyone could probably attest to some sort of story that has happened.
Yeah,
like that.
But I'm so thankful for the woman that like came up to me and was just like, "Oh, honey, like it's totally normal.
Yes,
it's totally fine."
Yes,
stuff like that. But like it's so embarrassing. But
it is.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really need to be.
No, it shouldn't be. And with that being said, it
happens every month.
I know it happens every month to biological females that have them.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's happening at younger and younger ages now.
That is true.
And it's a huge, like, it molds and shapes your self-esteem and everything.
I know.
The way that people view it around you, I guess.
I know.
And I remember my dad was mortified.
Oh my gosh,
if we talk
actually,
about it.
You know what? Here's something really funny.
I don't want to hear that.
So when I first, this is embarrassing now that I think about it. When I first started it and like my mom and my sister were like consoling me, not consoling me, but just like, okay, we have to talk about, you know, like getting your menstrual products. My brother.
Oh gosh.
Oh my gosh. And he's younger than me. I remember this. We lived in a 2-story and my brother is running up and down the stairs and goes, Vicky is a woman. Vicky is a woman.
Oh no.
It was just a family, but it was so
I
embarrassing.
can see that you were probably
and he
more,
was just
like,
running up and down the stairs. Vicky is a woman. Vicky is a woman. Anyhow, well, there's our intro to what we're going to talk about today. We started off the conversation about periods, but we're going to talk about
what better way to break the ice than talking about a really embarrassing
something embarrassing.
Yeah, it was so long ago too.
I know, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know how old
like
I am.
It was something like that.
30-ish years ago, but it is something a little bit taboo. People don't talk about it, so we're going to make it an easy breezy conversation, and we're going to talk about it because it shouldn't be. We're going to talk about periods, menstrual cycle, ant flow. Time of the month.
Well, women's bodies
menses.
should always be protected. Right now, it's a really tough time for women with like legislation, you know, voting against our bodies and stuff like that. So I guess what we need to do is just make it a normal thing to talk about this stuff that you know, typically men would be like, ew, gross, but it's not.
Well, no, but the thing actually is a really good idea about having these conversations about it and making it not as uncomfortable, not just for men, but for everybody, right? For kids, or, you know, of age kids that need to know. Because then it actually stems into period poverty.
Yeah.
Right? So the more you know, the more you know.
All these topics that have been like in the limelight or it's taboo or things we don't want to discuss it because it's embarrassing or it's gross or stuff like that, you know, like women's postpartum care or, you know, the whole care in the hospital and period care, education, all these things. There's always going to be that dark side that people just don't even know unless they're experiencing it themselves. So it kind of needs to be talked about.
Yeah. So like with that being talked about, like since we are talking about periods and we're talking about all that kind of stuff that it isn't normally brought to light in this way is yes, every person that goes through it, they have their periods and they have it monthly or whatever that regularity looks like to them. But then there's a lot of people that are going through it who don't have access in the same way that we do. So one of the things that I think that we'll just bring to light is period poverty and how it affects people and what that looks like. Because there's like a large amount of people, not just in the world, but even in the U.S., that kind of suffer from this like lack of resources, lack of, I gotta find the thing.
Access to, proper care. But just to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
At the time of recording this, what is it? This week is like...
Oh, it's...
Menstruation awareness or something?
It is. It's Menstruation Awareness Week. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Did you know that? Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it is. So,
Yeah, period poverty. We've been discussing it since this was going to be the topic of our show. The basically what we've done, what we've experienced, and then we look at the numbers. So we start kind of like looking at where, these underserved areas are, not only in our country, but mostly in a lot of other countries. So we took out all the numbers again to give some.
So quickly,
breakdown.
let me give a definition of what period poverty is. And this is from Medical News Daily, or Today. Period poverty is the lack of access to menstrual products, education, hygiene facilities, waste management, or a combination of it. So it affects 5 million people worldwide. So this is just the idea of just like people just not even having access to having pads and tampons.
Yeah.
Or being able to wash properly after or to clean their products or if they're using something reusable and stuff like that too. And it says there's 16.9 million people in the U.S. who actually suffer.
Yeah.
Or that don't have access to these kind of things.
Well, even like I wouldn't be categorized in any of those statistics. I've been fortunate enough to be like stay-at-home mom but working with like that budget where like going shopping for my family. There's been lots of times over the years where it's like my care comes last, where it's like I'm not going to get the nice tampons. I'll get the cheapest ones. It's one of those things that, but then come to find out the materials that are being used and those like the cheaper versions of that type of care is harmful to your body. Like those types of things where it's like, well, why is this such a problem? Like why can't we get access to this? Why do we have to spend so much money on it? Those sort of things. Like if it happens every month.
You spend so much money on it because some states, I think it was 33 to 35 states. I saw 2 different numbers and I don't know why, but just in the 33 to 35 range of states actually tax menstrual products. So that's why it's so expensive, because it's taxed up to 7% in some places.
Yeah. So, I mean, I felt validated just looking through some of these statistics, like when we were doing a little bit of our research too. So it's like, well, to go into my alternative method real quick is like the period underwear. Once I discovered those, I ended up loving them. But one of my favorite brands, it's called Saalt, Saalt. They had a lot of really, really, really good. They're a certified B Corporation. They have a lot of good information on there on period poverty. So one of the first things that stood out was 1 in 5 people with a period are unable to afford products in the U.S. every single month. So that's, I mean, if you put 5 girls in a room, like it's not.
Yeah. That's tough. That's hard. And then it's hard to be in that place because knowing that you, like me, feeling worried about telling somebody that, hey, I have a problem right now and I need help with it. And then the lack of the education behind it or the awareness behind it or the acceptance of its natural part of life and not having that feeling of like, okay, I can tell someone I need help. That just kind of is that cycle of the shame and it grows with you too. Like when you're young to when you're older. And then especially if you're not as fortunate to just every month you can go buy, these products and stuff too.
Yeah. So, and I think like shining light on all these alternative methods that are more sustainable is like super important.
Yeah.
And making it not so taboo to talk about. It can just be talked about in any circle without it being, people getting grossed out or, weirded out. But the waste that comes with it is another leading problem.
What do you think society can do to remedy period poverty?
I guess making it normal to talk about. I think in like regular school systems, it should just be talked about. I think schools should be providing care to young girls coming up. There's a lot of things but alternatives too. Reusable cups, making that a normal. My experience with discovering a more sustainable menstruation option actually happened when my second son was born. A lot of things happened during that time. It was a new chapter for me in that era. But I got for aftercare because I was like, I know what I'm doing. This is going to be my second C-section. It was scheduled. I was going to get my nails done, my feet done beforehand. You know, it was going to be like an experience. Yeah, I was going to make it exact opposite of my first horrendous experience. And it was wonderful. The whole thing was wonderful. I got period panties. Because I was like, you know, afterwards, I don't want to wear those big bulky diapers that the hospital sends you home with. And you go through a million of them. It's a lot of waste. You fill up garbage cans full of these things because after you have, you know, your uterus cut open, there's a lot of bleeding. So I got these period underwear, and I swear the second I put them on, I got, of course, like the high-waisted ones for moms that need like that gentle tummy care, you know, because my C-section incision. I put them on, and I was like, oh, everything feels great. It held me in.
Yeah.
It didn't have a crunchy feeling to it.
Oh,
They were comfortable. Everything about them was great. And then sure enough, like I was like, oh, I wonder, you know, thinking what it was going to be like. If I'm going to have to change these all the time, what's this going to be like? But no, like one pair a day. And then you just wash them. They don't stay moist or anything. They're the weirdest thing ever.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. So I was like, this is a game changer for women's menstruation.
I was always weird. Not weird. I was always curious about it just because I thought it was weird because I didn't understand. Because in my head, I was like, ooh, it's going to be like that when you accidentally have your period and it's in your regular underwear and it's uncomfortable and gross.
And then, of course, me, like, I'll talk about everything like that. I just, you know, I'll talk about it. It's normal conversation for me to just talk about, you know, period underwear. But one of my friends was like, oh, yeah, have you tried the period thongs? Because then, of course,
there's
these normal period underwear that I had, I was like, you know, you couldn't really wear them with leggings. Yeah. So that time of the month, it's like, okay, I'm going to wear my loose pants and my period underwear. But she was like, no, the thongs. I'm like, how does that work? But she's like, you should try it.
And you did?
Yes.
And did it change your life?
Yes. I don't even know how.
I didn't even know that was a period thong was a thing.
I know.
Wow, this is fascinating.
These are great. So, I mean, all little girls should jump on this once they first start. This is a great alternative.
No, oh my gosh, you're right. They should.
Yeah. There's going to be no white pant
disasters. That is, I didn't even know that, and I think that's so genius. I did hear about the underwear. I haven't jumped on that bandwagon just because I wasn't sure.
And I haven't tried the cup yet, the reusable cup.
Yes.
So, and I do have friends that use them.
Yeah, and I know people who use them too. And they swear by them.
They're great. Yeah, you don't, because I remember being with like a friend and being like, do you have an extra tampon? And she's like, I don't. Yeah. She's like, I actually haven't bought tampons for years. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. She probably hasn't bought them for 12 years. Because did you know they last that long? Yeah. Or up to 12 years, depending on the brand and stuff.
And they're a little bit pricey. But again, that's that pre-cycle mindset of like, you're saving a lot of money in the long run.
Well, I mean, think about it like this. In the long run, I don't know. How much do you think those things cost?
I think they're upwards of like $30, right?
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Because boxes
of tampons are what?
Shoot, I don't know. Maybe 10-ish bucks.
I know.
I don't even know.
Do you even look anymore? We just,
No, we have to buy them. Like, you have no choice.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Well, I mean, if you're doing 12 years.
In one person's lifetime.
Yeah.
During their menstruation time. You use about, if you use like pads, 11,000 pads in your life. Mm-hmm.
But for tampons, you know what?
I'm sure
I thought I saw like 5,000.
Yikes. I think it would be more because you go through more tampons, right? I mean, I don't know. But
shoot, I don't know.
Everybody's different. But, oh my gosh, there's so many things too. I've had experiences with friends. I worked in the medical field as a medical assistant years ago, and toxic shock syndrome was always an issue.
I had a friend who had to go to the hospital for it.
I did too.
And some people are more sensitive or to it than others. I don't remember what her situation was, but she was in the hospital for it. Yeah. We were in high school, and it wasn't even like she did something wrong. It was just she was highly sensitive to. Was it toxic shock? TSS? Yeah. It's even on the boxes. Make sure you read your boxes, guys. But yeah, she was in the hospital for it. I remember that was a pretty major thing. It was kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Well,
So there are all sorts of like pros and cons to
But
like
you know what?
using a reusable.
Did you know there's such thing as a reusable tampon applicator?
Oh.
I know.
For just like when you get the little cotton ones.
Yeah, so you get the cotton ones and you use this applicator, and it's a
Okay.
reusable one. I thought that was actually kind of fascinating. And I started Googling different type of sustainable options.
Mm-hmm.
There's also reusable menstrual pads. I sent you a thing
Yeah.
on Instagram, remember?
I have seen that.
Where
I saw-
they make them and you can wash them, and like I think a guy put it in his hat. Do you remember I sent you a video? There's a guy, he was like, oh, another use for my wife's reusable menstrual pads, and he put them in his hat so when he sweats? The sweat
That's
doesn't
so funny.
drip down. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that's another way to use them.
You can save a life. You know, when you get somebody gets like shot and you
Yeah.
see them like put a tampon in the bullet hole.
Yeah.
So I guess if switching to something that's reusable, but then always like maybe having a backup just in case.
Well,
to save a life.
to save a life.
Bloody nose.
Well, I think like also if people are interested in going on the sustainable-ish and you aren't interested in using cups or the disc or different things like that, and if it doesn't make you nervous to use the tampons that are just like the cotton buds to just insert, just if you're not uncomfortable with that, you could just use that because it's less plastic, because there's a lot of plastic that comes from just the packaging
The
and then the
applicators.
applicator.
Yes. And now I saw recently like there's these tampons that the applicator has like a rubber grip on it to like make it so you don't lose your hold on it. And I was like, that is so much extra
Oh, man.
for something that's used for
It
3
is,
seconds.
but I am going to put it out there in the world, just like we talked about straws and how straws are helpful to people that might need a little extra help.
There's probably a reason they did that, yeah.
they did it, and there's probably somebody out there that does actually. So we're not saying get rid of it completely. We're
Yeah.
just saying in your life, if it's not necessary, it's not necessary. Maybe,
But,
right?
you know, like this ongoing almost like trend of what we see with how things happen. Like, it's almost like we wait until it's at crisis mode to fix the problem.
Yeah.
You know, so those things, it's like, oh, like K-cups, what we always talk about. It's like that those things weren't pre-thought before.
Yeah.
Because there's like that bigger picture in mind, I think, for the
Yeah.
people who are
Yeah.
doing this. Like, we're going to monetize on this problem of women tampon applicators.
Yeah. No, and then I do want to take it back a little bit to how we were talking about like period poverty, and we were talking about these really cool sustainable products. And then we talked about ways of like, how do we remedy this period poverty, right? How do we fix the problem or things like that? I just wanted to say also, in addition to like we talked about like having education and people talking about it and making things familiar so people are able to access information, I think like access to also these reusable or sustainable products, because it's expensive, right? And so people that are in period poverty, they just need something that is going to work, period. Not pun intended. So,
You're being punny.
you know, but just I was just thinking about it, like as we're talking about it, yeah, these are some really cool things. And like you said, for us, we're in a situation where we can have this luxury of these $35 cups or buying reusable tampon applicators, you know, different
Or
things like
period
that.
panties.
Or period panties.
Yeah.
And those things can be costly, but it would be really cool to see ways that those are also available, because I feel like even something like that and that type of sustainability, just to get someone started, could be a really helpful way to help people.
Yeah. I know.
You know, not be stuck in that.
And to highlight this one brand that I just looked at for the period panties, the Saalt, again, Saalt.
Okay.
So their price ranges are about $17 to $40 per pair, depending on like what you want to get, like the extra fancy or just like the basic panties.
Did they say how long they last?
I don't know, but I've had the same ones basically since,
like
you know, because I don't
9,
wear them all the
10.
time.
Yeah,
They're not
of
like my
course.
regular underwear. So they do last, and then they wash really, really well.
Okay.
Whatever they're made of, they work. This company in particular is a B Corp, so they're 100%, you know, right up there along the lines of sustainable. They are serving they are like donating, I guess, a lot of underwear and
Oh,
a lot
good.
of their time and resources to underserved regions
Yeah.
in the world.
That's
Because they're, I mean,
good.
not just U.S.,
Yeah.
which is where we focus a lot of our, because,
That's
we'll
where
just
we
kind
are.
of branch out where we
Yeah.
are. But, a lot of underserved regions in the world. So there are a
That
lot
is
of
really good.
young girls that are
getting
really needing it more than
yeah.
anyone. But they donated about 2% of their profit to resources to getting them, and they donate underwear.
That's really good.
But they also basically have listed these, these statistics here. So, let's see. They had said 20 billion menstrual products are disposed annually in the U.S.
No, I saw that.
in the landfill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, it was like 20 billion?
And I think every year
Oh, you're right.
they repurpose like a lot of plastic bottles. So they're in the certified plastic negative. So that's another one of our little tags for sustainable. And they're certified women's business enterprise. They're doing a whole bunch of good stuff.
That is really good.
Just buying a pair of these underwear is along the lines of helping, making an impact.
So like not only you helping yourself and living a little bit more sustainably in your life, but you are also, this is one of the best things. Let someone else do the work for you. You just buy this product and let someone else do the work for you.
And that's what we're trying to do too. If you have any, young girls that are about coming to that age, they could listen to this too.
Yeah.
And maybe feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that there are other things that are out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw too that there's like these kits that you can buy for girls that you like put in their backpacks, like the period kit, and it has everything they need.
That's
for when they
sweet.
start it, like wherever they go.
Yeah.
I thought those were pretty cool too. Just to, all these things that we didn't have.
That's true. That is actually, I really like that.
Yeah.
I remember one time, this is so random, I just remember this thought. Like one of my friends, we all grew up together, then she ended up having daughters. And I remember something for me because periods can be unpredictable. I remember like the one tip, and I don't know if it's people like this or I don't know what people think anymore. But I remember like when I knew my period might be coming around, I would put a towel in my bed when I would go to sleep, because a lot of times it happened and I'd wake up and I'm like, everything's a mess. And I'm just thinking like, oh, maybe we should invent something like that.
It's a horrible way to start your day.
No, it is. But I'm just thinking like part of a kit would be like,
Yeah.
that'd be like, not like a fun gift, but like a
Yes.
coming of age gift. Like that's embarrassing. I can't imagine that being fun. But I'm just remembering like something like with the kit, like, oh, I wish someone, I had to figure that towel thing out for myself, because I'm like, I don't. It was not fun, to wake up and be like, oh, now it's not just a mess. Like,
And not only that, it's like there's pain.
yeah,
there's
it's so
hormones.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable. Oh.
But it doesn't have to be. I mean, I also
Yeah.
would recommend like dads jumping on board, like making it not an uncomfortable thing.
Dads,
Like, you need to just talk to your mom. Like, no,
brothers,
Yeah.
family members, make it.
It's just a normal thing.
Like, everyone needs a safe space, especially when they're going through something that maybe is a little scary or embarrassing. Yeah. I don't know. I
know. And since I've discovered period panties,
yeah.
I have worn white pants during my period. Like a crazy person.
You're so brave.
I am. I
You're
never
really
had a
brave. You're really brave. You're really
Gotta
brave.
face my fears.
Oh my gosh. I'm really happy that you can do that.
Yeah.
I don't think
And another thing, while we're on this subject
bring it,
of
girl.
like legislation, women's bodies, all this stuff, birth control,
Yeah.
that is another reason women go on birth control. Not because they don't want to have babies, but because
Correct.
of their period.
Correct.
So like
Correct.
we both use birth control
Yes.
for our periods.
Correct.
My estrogen dips down so low that I can't function for a week every month.
Correct.
So an IUD helps manage that.
You know what?
Women need to have access to birth control,
Yeah.
abortions, all the things.
This just another side note though. I was reading an article and I don't know where I read it, but they were talking about periods, and in different countries, like women would rather be pregnant than have their periods because I don't want to say it. I don't know what country, so I'm not going to say for sure. But in this country, they would rather be pregnant then have their period because they get shunned from their families. They have to like live separately from them
While they're on their period.
while they're on their periods. And like it was like a old like a wives' tale that like it, what was it, like they couldn't work because losing money. Oh my gosh, it was like the most random thing that just came up about like how people are treated. And so if there was more education about it, or like the lack of stigma behind using period products or different things like that, then maybe people wouldn't feel so bad. Or like people feel like using tampons is like loss of virginity.
Yeah. I know.
I'm so glad that was never a thing in my head.
No.
But yeah, because like even for like sports and different things like that too, you know. But
I know. Yeah. It's, yeah. But, you know, if I was shunned for having my period, I would probably just grab a good book, some chocolate, and I'd be like, all right, guys, I'll see you in a week because I don't want to be around you anyway. Fine. I'm on my period today, tomorrow, and all next week too.
Leave me alone. Oh, well, there's our story about menstruations and periods and all that good stuff.
There are sustainable options.
There are sustainable options, and something to keep in mind is that there are people who are not as fortunate as maybe some of us are to be able to just go to the store and buy those products. So make sure to, I don't know, support in ways that you can, either being I don't know if advocate's the right word, but just being a cheerleader for people that are going through it, giving support where you can, even if it's in conversation and education or donating to causes that help support it. I even found a hashtag called #EndPeriodPoverty.
Oh.
So if you want to shout from the rooftops.
I mean, in our lifetime, it would be great to see something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But until then, thank you for listening to this episode of Recouped. I'm Vicky.
And I'm Michelle.
And if you'd like to hear more about how other industries are turning green, be sure to buy us a coffee. You can find a link to our tip jar in the show notes.
Yep. And then if you'd like to know more about what Vicky and I do every day, our business, it's called Recouped. You can visit us online. We're at www.recoupedpnw.com. And you can join our email list. You can find our podcast on there and lots of cool stuff. We're at markets. We're officially in market season now. So we'd love to see ya.
Yeah. And if you like what you're hearing, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and leave a review. Also, tell us what you like. Tell us what you like hearing and tell us what you are enjoying about the podcast.
Your favorite sustainable solutions that you've found. We want to know more about what people are doing.
Yeah. Everything you mentioned here is linked in the show notes. So once again, thank you for joining us. And remember to reduce, reuse, and recoup. Till next time.
Bye.
Okay, bye.